白雪公主。有个公主，因为她有着如雪般白皙的皮肤，如血般红润的嘴唇，所以名字叫做白雪。白雪公主非常善良，所以大家都很喜欢她。唯独她的后母，那邪恶的皇后例外。邪恶的皇后学过魔法，拥有一面魔镜。她每天都问魔镜：谁是世界上最漂亮的女人？魔镜总是回答：
我的皇后，你是这世界上最漂亮的女人。
有一天，邪恶的皇后又对着魔镜问道：魔镜啊，魔镜，谁是世界上最漂亮的女人？魔镜回答道：
白雪公主是世界上最漂亮的女人，因为她有白皙的皮肤和红润的双唇。
邪恶的皇后非常生气：什么？我竟然不是世界上最漂亮的女人！她很嫉妒，便命令猎人去杀掉白雪公主，并要她将白雪公主的心带回来。邪恶的皇后说：只要白雪公主一死，我又是最漂亮的女人了。猎人带着白雪公主到森林里去，但是他喜欢白雪公主，因此并没有做出伤害公主的事，反倒是要她尽可能逃得越远越好。然后猎人就带了颗珠心回去呈给皇后。白雪公主独自一个人在森林里不停地跑啊跑的。天色渐暗，森林变得很可怕。她感到又累又饿又害怕。走着走着，她看到了一间小屋，便跑进去想要借宿休息一下。这是7个小矮人的家，屋内没有半个人，他们全都出去工作了。白雪公主发现房子里很脏乱，就打扫了一下。当7个小矮人回到家的时候，都吓了一跳。由于白雪公主的善良与温柔，并且和他们相处得很融洽，因此小矮人们央求公主住下来。白雪公主很高兴，以为自己已经安全了。邪恶的皇后以为白雪公主已经死了，她又可以从魔镜那里得到她想要的答案。魔镜啊，魔镜，现在谁是世界上最漂亮的女人？她问道。魔镜仍然回答：
是白雪公主。
皇后很生气地说道：我一定要亲自杀了白雪公主。她想了个法子，打算将自己乔装成又老又丑的巫婆，然后带上一颗毒苹果。只要给白雪公主吃了这颗苹果，她将永远沉睡不醒。她大笑着说。白雪公主和7个小矮人一起生活着，她喜欢他们，小矮人们也都很喜欢白雪公主。白雪公主替他们煮饭和打扫小屋，就像是快乐的一家人。趁着7个小矮人不在家的时候，邪恶皇后乔装成的巫婆来到7个小矮人的家门口，敲了敲门。白雪公主开了门，但没有让巫婆进来。
小矮人们叮咛我，不能让任何人进屋子里，所以 我不能让你进来。
白雪公主说道。没关系，我只是想把这好吃的苹果给你尝尝。巫婆说道。
我不能拿陌生人的东西。
白雪公主说。你担心苹果有毒吗？巫婆问。如果你担心苹果有毒的话，我们可以一起享用。我先吃一半，你再吃另一半。其实巫婆早就耍了诡计，她只在一半的苹果内掺毒，而且她将有毒的那一半留给白雪公主。白雪公主吃了苹果，马上昏厥倒地。永远沉睡吧，你这个坏女孩！巫婆大笑着说完后逃离现场。当7个小矮人回家后，发现白雪公主躺在地上，她看起来像是死了，但漂亮红润的双颊就像还活着一样。7个小矮人把她放进透明的玻璃棺材里，放置在森林深处，轮流派人在那儿看顾。他们每天哭喊着：
白雪公主，我们都很想你。
某一天，有位王子闯进这座森林，他来到了玻璃棺材前，看到了躺在里面的白雪公主，他不禁赞叹地说：
多么漂亮的女孩啊！我想要亲吻她。
王子俯身给了这女孩一个吻，白雪公主竟醒过来了。王子问白雪公主是否愿意嫁给他，白雪公主答应了。他们结婚后，从此过着幸福快乐的日子。
故事结束了，让我们用英文再读一遍吧。
Snow White. There was a princess named Snow White because she was white as snow and her lips were red as blood. Snow White was really kind and everyone liked her, except her stepmother, the evil queen. The evil queen had studied magic, and she had a magic mirror. She liked to ask the mirror every day, "Who is the most beautiful woman in the world?" The mirror replied,
"You are the most beautiful woman in the world, my queen."
One day, the evil queen looked into her mirror and asked it again. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of all?" The mirror said,
"Snow White is the most beautiful woman in the world, because she has white skin and red lips."
The evil queen got very angry. "What? I am not the most beautiful woman in the world?" She was jealous, and then she ordered a huntsman to kill Snow White and bring her heart back. The evil queen said, "After killing Snow White, I will become the most beautiful woman again." The huntsman took Snow White into the forest. He liked Snow White, so he couldn't do that. Instead, he told Snow White to run away as far as she could. Then he brought a pig's heart to the queen. Snow White was alone in the forest, and she kept running and running. It became dark, and the forest was scary. She felt tired, hungry, and scared. Then she saw a little house and went inside to take a rest. This was the 7 little dwarfs' house, but there was no one there. They all went out working. Snow White found that the house was messy, so she cleaned it up. When these 7 little dwarfs came back, they were surprised. However, she was nice and got along well with them. Therefore, they asked her to stay with them. She felt happy and almost thought she was safe. The evil queen thought Snow White was dead, so she thought she could get the answer she wanted from her magic mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful woman now?" she asked. The mirror still answered,
Snow White.
The queen got angry and said, "I must kill Snow White in person." A good idea came into her mind. She decided to disguise herself as an old and ugly witch with a poisoned apple. "After Snow White eats this apple, she will go into a deep sleep," she laughed. Snow White lived with the 7 dwarfs. She liked them, and they all liked her. Snow White cooked for them and even cleaned their small house. They were just like a happy family. When the 7 dwarfs were not home, the evil queen disguised herself as a witch and went to knock on the door. Snow White opened the door but didn't let the witch in. "The 7 dwarfs told me to not let anyone into the house, so I can't let you in," said Snow White. "It's okay, but I just want to give you an apple," the witch said. "I can't accept anything from a stranger," Snow White said. "Are you worried about the poison apple?" the witch asked. "If you are worried about this, we can share it. I eat half and you eat the rest." Actually, only half of the apple was poisoned, and Snow White ate that part. After Snow White had a bite, she passed out, and no one could wake her up. The witch laughed loudly and said, "Sleep now and forever, bad girl," then ran away. When the 7 dwarfs went home, they found Snow White lying on the ground as if she were dead. But she still had beautiful red cheeks as a living person. The 7 dwarfs buried her in a transparent glass coffin. They put her coffin in a forest, and one of them stayed with it and watched over her. They cried every day.
We all miss you, Snow White.
One day a prince passed by. He saw Snow White in the glass coffin and said,
How beautiful she is! I want to kiss her.
Then he gave her a kiss, and she woke up. The prince asked Snow White to marry him, and she said yes. They got married and lived happily ever after.